Right, Dad. So before the commercial break, we were at the lunch where you found the lizard head, and you told us that you were supposed to be the school prefect. They would have voted for you in Prempeh College. They didn't vote. Dr. Jenny was appointed.
Very popular,
but you were popular
with the students. So when one of the students discovered that the head of lizard was in the palava sauce, he shouted, "Kutre, kutre." Then the students, who eat? In the meanwhile, they almost finished eating. So the senior prefect called me to the high table. I said, hold on. Well, I promise you, tomorrow's lunch, everybody will have a tin of sardine to compensate for what has happened. So after the meals, the prefects, we went to the headmaster. The prefect told the headmaster what had happened. And I jumped in to save the situation. And the promise was that every student would get a tin of sardine for our next lunch. And the headmaster agreed and supplied the following lunch. Afternoon
So the headmaster was still Mr. Hussain.
Yes, at that time.
I think you tell us of Mr. Hussain's story when you become the Minister of Education. Yes. Because you appointed him as
the Director General.
Director of GES.
Yes.
Director General for GES.
Yes.
So a student-headmaster relationship.
Yes.
You grow up, you become a Minister of Education.
And I did a special memo
for him to defend him, why he should be given the appointment. Do you recall the memo?
Yes, I do. The points that I raised. Number one, I was open and honest to tell the then cabinet that he was my tutor in history and eventually became the headmaster of the school. Invariably, students normally don't like their teachers. But because of Hussain was very good. That's why I recommended him. Then secondly, my idea was to get a practicing tutor to become the head of the Ghana Education Service. And it is precisely because he knows what happens in the classroom and will be able,
I think it's okay,
to discharge his duties properly. And it was accepted by the cabinet, and he became
the Director General.
Yes.
By that time, was he on pension?
No,
He wasn't.
he was still serving.
I mean, he was young, not too old when he was the headmaster for Prempeh College.
That's true.
So this thing that you are saying would be, I'm sure,
In the
15 years or 20 years after Prempeh College.
After Prempeh College.
Right. That was the
So he
70s.
became the first Director General of Ghana Education Service from the classroom. Others had been in the offices as a Director Inspectorate, Director Development, and then promoted. But I managed to convince the government of the day that I think he was the best choice for the job. And he didn't disappoint.
He didn't disappoint. He delivered. Daddy, life after Prempeh College, you finished with your, is it C's form?
Yes, 6 to upper 6.
Upper 6?
Yes. And I decided to read law at the university.
So this was because you joined Prempeh College in 1955.
By 61, 62, I'd come out.
61,
And I
62.
entered the university in 1962.
So you entered the University of Ghana in 1962.
In 1962.
Which hall?
We started with initially Legon.
Legon Hall. All of you were in the Legon
Yes. And then later on moved to Sabah Hall.
To Sabah Hall.
And the advantage was that in Sabah Hall we had a room to ourselves.
At that time?
At that time. But in Legon we were paired.
You were paired?
Two to a room.
Two to a room.
Yes.
So in Sabah Hall, then you guys had a field day.
Yes.
and you were enjoying.
We were enjoying. And we had the ladies there. We had the ladies' wing.
The ladies' wing was there.
Yes.
Interesting. So that after sixth form, when you finished Prempeh College, I knew by that time students were to do a national service.
No.
You didn't. There was no.
What happened in our case was that after sixth form, upper six, you had to wait for 8-9 months before you entered the university if you were successful. So most of them would go and teach. And I never had a testimonial to go and teach in a secondary school or training college. So I became a people teacher.
Oh, so you became a people teacher?
A people teacher. In a village near Agogo. And then, once I decided to read law, we had to write examination, the entry examination, and you wrote on a topic given to you by the university. And I had to come from Agogo to Accra to come and write that examination.
Come and write that examination. That report. In Agogo, before you go to Agogo, there's a story that when you got there, in your story, when you got there, they were expecting to have. There was a child who came to you.
Yes. You see, before I got to Agogo, not Agogo, the town is escaped.
Yes. But there was a school in Agogo where you became a school teacher.
And the peoples had given a big room
for you,
for the teacher.
For
So I traveled to the town, and the peoples had come to meet the new teacher. And I had gone there with a mattress and my box. So
a mattress and a box.
Yes. So they took them to the room. There was this young chap who came to me. Teacher, are these all your things? And I said, yes.
Were you robbed?
Were you robbed?
The thieves
came to take your chair and table.
Where's your bed? And everything.
So I took to him.
Okay.
And he became my friend.
Okay.
And I influenced him to the extent that he went to Prempeh College.
Oh.
He's not the Nkosohene.
That boy, that particular boy.
Is
who
not
is
the
big man.
Yes.
for his town.
Yes, for his town. I'll get the name of the town.
Of the town.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I know subsequently, some remarkable characters in the story. We will also go there and interview them, about what they also have to say about you. In Legon, we want to conclude today's session, the life in Legon.
Yeah, 62.
62. Yes.
I was admitted.
You were admitted. So you begin from where you went to write the exams.
Yes, so I had to write the exams.
Yes.
And I didn't know anybody
in Accra. But it wasn't your first time of coming to Accra.
I had come when I was young, in 49.
49.
Yes. But, so I decided I would come by the night train, to the station. The following morning, I'll sleep at the station. The following morning, I'll go and write the examination. And then take a night train back to Konomo. Luckily for me, because I had nothing to do, I was walking around and doing window shopping. Then somebody shouted, I turned around, and he was a driver of the chief of Mumbai. And he was driving a taxi, so he stopped and asked me what I was doing in Accra. And I told him my story. So he picked me and took me to his house, his room. And I spent the night there. The following morning, I went to the center and wrote my exams, and then left for Konombo.
That's for the law entrance.
Yes.
You left for Konombo again to continue your teacher job. Maybe by that time, had you gotten a chair in your room?
After a while, I got a table and I got a chair.
Okay.
But I never bothered to buy a bed.
You use your mattress
and one pillow.
Okay.
But because I had to do notes, that's why I needed a chair.
Okay.
And the table.
Then you were there, and then
I was successful, and then I was given admission to the law faculty at Lagos. So in '62, I started my training as a lawyer. Interestingly, because I was a sportsman, I met a lot of friends from various schools who were also sportsmen. And in our days, we had competition among the secondary schools. At Water, for instance, Eber was a footballer, a first-class footballer, and we had met in the inter-colleges sports, and I met him.
That's when you were in Prempeh College?
Yes.
Yes, I met him through the inter-colleges sports. But he was in Achimota.
He was in Achimota.
Yes. So when you met in Legon, I mean, you were already friends. Yes.
From Falsipin, from Adisodo, from Presec. Presec was then at Odumas. He had me moved to Legon.
Perfect.
And it was also very, very, very interesting. And we had a very fruitful relationship at Legon. And we were lucky because everything was laid on the table for us. Right. And then commercial.
We had food.
We never paid school fees. We never paid anything.
We just walked to the dining hall.
And the food we had was even better than what was served at Ambassador Hotel.
Ambassador Hotel?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And then when we were doing the postgraduate, we were given allowance. The law students were given 42 Ghana cedis a term. And we used to call that 42 million. Indeed, I used that money to buy my wear gowns and everything.
Wow.
At Legon also, I was a sportsman.
You're a sportsman, yes. So with sports, that is where you were in a hockey team with the former president.
The former
late
Mills,
Mills,
played hockey and football at the same time.
He was a good sportsman.
He was a good sportsman, and he was very strong. He would play hockey in the afternoon and would be able to play football in the evening. In the evening.
He must have had a very strong stamina.
Yes. And when we were doing inter-varsity games, at one time I was the captain of the university football club, and Late Mills was also a player, one of the players. And we went to Nigeria and other places for inter-varsity games.
Wow. And then there was one time you went to, was it Nigeria?
Nigeria.
And we used to have a name that you call each other, you and then the late
Mills. The late Mills.
In Legon.
You know, they had a problem.
Okay.
In their apartment. And as a captain, I was called to the scene, and I couldn't speak Ghana, and I didn't understand Ghana. But what he and his friend were saying Beshka.
Beska.
So I picked that one, and later anytime we
You
met,
meet him, Beska. Life in Legon. Then when you were was it postgraduate?
yes, we took 3 years to do all the subjects, and then the bar. We took 1 year to do the bar.
So would you remember the?
And everything was done at Legon.
Everything was done.
Yeah, it was later on that we had the bar at what we call the Makala. Yes. But in our time, we did everything.
Did everything in Legon. Right. Then you were called to the bar when?
67.
1967.
1967.
That's when we were called to the bar.
Yes.
And you've been ever since how many years?
I remember a judge, and precisely it was Judge Sapadu. And we're doing a case before him. He was then a High Court judge. And you know either the famous or the infamous Jakapi.
Yes. G-Man's case. Yes.
We're doing it, and the late Bosumpin was the DPP, and he was the presiding judge. And he had an argument with the DPP. Tempers fled, and he went to his chambers. After a while, he invited all the lawyers to his chambers and started talking as a judge. He made a mistake to say that he was senior to all of us sitting down there. So I got up. I said, Lord, if my wake is deceiving you, let me take it off. I'm not a young man. I believe when I was called to the bar, you were in the secondary school. They said, Mr. Owusu-Fordwouh, what are you saying? When were you called to the bar? I said, 67. Sorry, sir.
I'm sure you retorted senior.
We became friends there after that one.
After that one.
Yes.
So that was life in Legon.
Live in
called to the bar.
I tell you something.
Yeah.
At that time, there was a political misunderstanding between Nkrumah and Olympio of Togo. So we were in about 4 buses going to Ibadan for our annual intervarsity games. And we were detained at a flower border for about 6 hours. So we had to come back. The following day, Nkrumah commandeered BC-10.
That's the British
BC,
Airways.
yes.
Ghana Airways.
To take us to
for the games,
which they did.
Wow, that was a great privilege then.
Yes. And typical of students, we stole the hangers, the cups, the tea cups, the spoon, everything in the plane. In the plane. So after the games, when the plane came to take us back, they brought only plastic cups.
This time around, even if you steal it, it's worth nothing.
Yes. And after that, after the games, Nkrumah gave us a big dinner at the Plaza house.
Wow.
We had it good.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
We were lucky.
And I heard there were times that I'm sure when the political heat started, flaring up, he will always arrest a law student.
Yeah, the law
detained them.
The law faculty was the main opposition to student politics.
Student politics, yes. You were the student activist.
Yes. And the law faculty spearheaded the opposition, the NCPP elements at Legon, you know. So it came to a time when the first person to be picked and detained was Professor Kuje. He became the Supreme Court judge. He's now dead. And then the second one I remember was Mr. MP, Eugene MP's father.
That's the former Deputy Works and Housing, and Subin, MP,
Subin MP.
His father.
The father was also detained. And they were released after the coup. When the coup was successful.
I mean, they've been there, or they've been on detention for.
Kuje was about 2 years, about 3 years, MP about 2 years. So, MP was my senior, but because of his detention, I became senior to him. He went back to the Legon to qualify and then
was called to the bar.
Was on the bench, called to the bar, was on the bench before he went on retirement.
What influenced you to join the police service after the war?
Yes, when I was a student at the faculty, we had external lecturers. Justice Owusu-Fordwouh, Darocha, Justice Amisa, and others were coming to lecture us. It was Justice Amisa who influenced me to join the police.
Justice Amisa.
Justice Amisa. He taught us criminal law and criminal procedure because he had been a director of public prosecutions for a long time before joining the bench. So he was one of our tutors. And he called me aside and said, we've been approached by the police authorities that they wanted a lawyer to join the police because it's all law enforcement, and asked me if I would be interested. So I said I would give you an answer. After some months, I was invited to the police headquarters. And I met then Deku, who was Commissioner, CID, Harley, the IGP, and some senior officers. And they said Justice Amisa had recommended me to join the police, and if I would take it. So I agreed and joined them. When I graduated, I was in the service when the ceremony of calling us to the bar was performed.
So you joined the police service
after I had qualified.
You had qualified.
Yes.
But there was a ceremony to call you to the bar. So you were called to the bar as a police officer.
I was then a trainee.
We're then a trainee
police officer.
Trainee police officers.
And it took us 6 months.
6 months
to
go through
the training. And interestingly, I won the Sword of Honor.
You won the Sword of Honor. Do you remember the year?
It means it was 67. What it means is that
the Sword of Honor.
The whole class. I topped them. Yes.
So being in the written exams and then
the written exam, the drills, everything, I topped them. And it was published in the papers.
At that time.
And yes, the joke of the day was that my friends would say, you police people, you are not clever. This bad boy, how can he win the Sword of Honor?
How can he win the Sword of Honor? So you started as what was your rank when you after completing training?
Because of my profession, I was DSP.
DSP.
Deputy Superintendent of Police.
Deputy Superintendent of
Yes.
Police.
But the norm is that the graduates,
Right.
After 6 months, they were ASP. And the DSP is one rank higher
than the ASP. But you were a DSP.
DSP because of my profession.
Because of your profession. I see. And where was your first posting?
After the training, I was posted to cantonment.
Cantonment.
That was my first.
And then you were understudying somebody.
I was to understudy JRO at the Superintendent of Police. And I worked under him for about 3 months. Then he went on retirement and I took over. And in those days, cantonment was a big area. It covers the airport, Osu, Labadi, huge.
So it was a
later on
district.
it's been
Cantonment was a district then.
Then, yes. But now it's been half off to airport, to Labadi, to Osu. But during my time, it was a huge area.
Was there any significant change that you brought to the district cantonments? Were there armed robberies, issues that you were able to solve?
Well, in those days, there wasn't much armed robbery. I don't remember that we ever dealt with armed robbery. What you see, the Ambassadorial Enclave was part of my jurisdiction covered that one. And the problem I had was the ambassadors coming to report that their cars had been stolen. Their cars had been stolen. And then you have the petty offenses in Osu and Labadi, especially assault. Not much serious crime like we seem to be.
What about Tema?
Tema, I never went.
You never went to?
No, I never went. From cantonment, then I was posted to the college, the police college, police college, as an instructor, a tutor.
Tutor there.
Yes.
You taught criminal law.
I taught criminal law, evidence, and then criminal procedure.
Okay.
And in 1970, I was appointed the commandant of the then police college. Yes.
In 1970.
I was the second African after Mr. Price Yebisi.
So Mr. Price Yebisi was
the first Kenyan to become the commander. Previously, they were whites.
They were whites.
Yes.
Who were the commandants of the college.
So after Yebisi,
Mr. Price Yebisi,
1970,
you became the commandant. And I think you ran some promotional exams. Was it police promotions?
Yes, I was responsible under Yakubu.
Under Yakubu.
Yeah.
So
IGP
Yakubu.
To run examination. For inspectors and chief inspectors.
Okay.
The successful ones will come to the college, be trained for 6 months, and then they become ASP. And in total, there were about 750 of them. And IGP needed only about 35 out of the lot. So he asked me to organize it. Gave me 3 months to finish. Within 2 months, I had finished. And what I did was that the other examiners, they must give their questions to me in their own handwriting, manuscript, not type. Then I knew somebody at the British High Commission So I asked them also to print the questions for me. And I scheduled the program that if today, 9:30, the students were to write the examination at 9:30, I'll collect the questions from the British High Commission at about 8. And whilst they are sitting in the examination, I'll distribute them. So within 2 months, I had finished. And I took the results to the IGP. And then also, it was required that you kept the papers that you marked. You should keep them so that if somebody is not happy with it, there will be a remark. So about 20 card boxes, I took them to the headquarters, gave them the results, he put it in the safe and locked it. After 2 months, he calls me to the headquarters.
That was the IGP.
IGP Yakubu. He said, young man, you will never be rich. You will never be rich. This examination, you could have built 2 houses out of it. And I didn't understand what he was saying. He realized that I was surprised. So, come on, you go. So I saluted and left from my office. Before I got to the police college, he had promoted me above so many officers.
So from the deputy.
And then what he did was that he later on told me that for his 32 years in the police service, that was the first time examination had been conducted. And there was no leakage, there was no complaint and that sort of thing. Wow. And that was the reason why he promoted me above some officers. So those Bakuche and others who had gone a year before me, I became senior to all of them.
I see. So, from being promoted, which year were you called to become the vice chairman of the Public Service Commission?
It was 72 when a champion staged the coup.
Okay.
You know, then IGP was Mr. Kobna.
Okay.
So he called me from the police college. I went to headquarters and said I should report to the castle, the secretary to
the cabinet.
The cabinet. I should report to him. So I said, for what? Then he looked at me and said, are you afraid? I said, I'm not afraid. You are my boss. If somebody wants me, find out from that person why he wants me. Then, you know, he started, go. So I went to the castle, to the secretary's office, Mr. Wow. Yes. And the gentleman was right. It's a long office, he was right. Then he raised his head up and I said, sir, I'm Owusu-Fordwouh. My IGP has asked me to report to you. Yes, Mr. Pastor. Are you Mr. Owusu-Fordwouh? I said, yes. I thought you were as huge as I am. You know, cabinet took about 1.5 hours, 2 hours to discuss you as to where you should be sent. Look, young man, you have a future. But finally it was decided that you should go to the Public Services Commission. I had no idea what it was. So I said, sir, give me 3 days. If I want to go to that place, I'll come and tell you. He said, look at you, the confidence.
The confidence
is beaten. So I said, sir, I mean it. So from there I went to the publishing house and I bought the Act of Public Service Commission. I went and studied it, and I thought it was interesting. So the third day I went back to tell him, oh, the work will be interesting. So I accepted
the appointment.
I accepted the appointment. Yeah. And indeed it was very
interesting. So the chairman was who?
Mr. Abai Fakabu.
Mr. Abai Fakabu. Okay. The son
the son is now.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So a public service commission, what was your work?
Well, all appointments into the public service must be made by the Public Services Commission. All promotions in the public service, foreign affairs, everything must be made by the Public Service Commission after interview. So some of the major appointments during my time, Mr. Abai Fakabu also took to me. And as a young man, he gave me a lot of work to do. Yes. So some of the major appointments, doctors from the Cocoa Board, clinics, and lawyers for Cocoa Board, ADB, managing directors and bankers. Then every year, I'll go out of the country, tour the world. Kenyans who had qualified and wanted to come back home, they will be interviewed. Then foreign affairs officers who were due for promotion will be interviewed, and then
so there was you had an encounter with Dr. Hilalima, who became the head of state.
Yes.
I mean, when you were in the Public Service Commission, you interviewed him, and there was a story like that.
Yes, Dr. Hilalima had joined the public service with a doctorate degree.
Yes.
And they didn't put him into the appropriate rank that he deserved. So when I was at the Public Service Commission with the other commissioners, we decided that the first degree will give you the appointment. The second degree, you must have taken 2 years to do your master's. So your grade should be 2 years above. Then doctorate, another 2 years above. So I was given that task to solve Dr. Liman's appointment. On my trip to Paris, he was then with the Paris
Ghana's commission or
yes, Paris foreign ministry, the foreign mission.
Foreign mission, okay.
So I had to interview him. I interviewed him and then put him into appropriate rank.
Wow.
Then incidentally, when he came back to Ghana with the foreign affairs. I was then the director of special branch, and I organized a course for the intelligence community, and he was one of my students. And I share, he's a smoker.
Okay.
And I'm a smoker.
You're a smoker too.
So we have something in common.
Oh.
We share our beer together at the police college.
I met a man who, happened to know you. So his son was there. Like, I said, oh, your father is a friend to my dad. I think they were classmates. Then a young man remarked, or the son of the man remarked, I don't think they were classmates. They were glassmates.
We're sharing.
You were sharing.
It's true.
We were sharing glass of beer and whiskey together. So that is from Public Service Commission. You receive another appointment.
Yes,
the Minister of Education.
I had gone to London. I was to do my annual tour, and I had gone to London to interview people when the then Kenny Asante was our ambassador, High Commissioner. He rang me. I was in 38 Prince Gate interviewing people. When he rang me, congratulating me, and that he was coming to me. Then he came and said, I've been appointed Commissioner for Education. And I was required, it was a Friday, I was required to be back to Ghana and to be sworn in on Tuesday. I had used Ghana Airways, and Ghana Airways wouldn't come back. So they upgraded me on British Airways. Came back on Friday. Tuesday I was sworn in as
the commissioner of the commission. I think for the commissioner, they didn't give you 3 days to think about it.
they never asked me. They just gave me bum.
Yeah, they never asked you whether you like it
yes.
or you didn't like it.
Yeah.
So your first day as a Minister of Education or Commissioner of Education. So that was in 73.
Was it 70? 74.
24 there.
Yeah. My first day. What I remember was that Kenny Nyante was then the commissioner and had been transferred to the Eastern region as a regional.
Okay.
So I took over from Kenny Nyante.
Yes, please.
And it was my first day there.
Okay.
So I called the secretary, Auntie Aldo. I had a chat with him. Then I visited the various heads of the department. Then I invited my secretary, the then senior principal secretary, Mr. Atta, and then the director general, Education, to come and brief me and lead me into the system. I did that for about a week to be able to understand what happens there. And I started.
You started the work after your familiarization tour and working with it.
And education also is a very challenging but satisfied job. Huge.
What were the reforms in education that you remember? I mean, under your leadership.
You know,
being the teachers, being the students.
I was lucky that I met some of my tutors at the headquarters. Adiobo was my tutor at Prempeh College.
Okay.
Dr. Mr. Bamfo at Prempeh College. So
had also moved. Mr. Bamfo was your housemaster?
Housemaster.
Yes.
An English master.
An English master.
He was at the headquarters. So I felt at home.
Oh, beautiful.
And I had a habit of studying from people that I know that they have the expertise. I'm not shy. Even when I was in the police, I could go to a sergeant who is in charge AMRE to learn from him how AMRE is kept, what should be done. So when I had my old tutors there, I felt at home.
Yes. That means that tutorship continues.
Yes. And because they realized that I was cooperating with them, they were also giving me, a lot of information and then recommendation and all sorts of things. So I find it very, very, very interesting. And I started this junior secondary school, senior secondary school concept.
But by then it was what?
It was primary school.
It was primary school.
Yeah.
And then you do your
elementary school, middle school, and then
you write your common entrance.
Yes.
So So you brought in the junior secondary school.
The junior secondary school and senior secondary school. You know, when a champion stayed the coup, one of his slogans, Yentria, Yentria, Yentria. The loans that Ghana government had taken from abroad, the champion said, Yentria, Yentria, Yentria. And the World Bank had given Ghana about 350 million to implement this junior and senior secondary school concepts. But because the champion said Yentria, Yentria, the World Bank withdrew it. But the World Bank was still interested in Ghana implementing it. And it is because I was informed, and I believe it is true, that when the new mathematics were being introduced,
like the further mathematics,
yes,
elective maths,
were being introduced, it was the World Bank which gave Ghana government money to implement it, and it was successful. Because in our days, the division, you had to do this and divide, multiplication, but the new mathematics that you learned, I don't have an idea, but it was the World Bank, and Ghana was successful.
With that.
So it had wanted to implement the junior and senior school concept. So I was tasked by the government to see how we can implement it. So I assembled about 11 educationists, engineers, what have you, to give the government an idea. So they toured the whole country and gave us a blueprint. And the cost was about $70 million, which the government could fund. And it was going to take us about 15 years to implement it. The most important aspect of it was the tutors. Because when we, in those days, common entrance, you have about 300,000
people sitting
writing the common entrance. The schools and the universities can take only about a portion, about 6,000, 7,000. So what happens to the base? The idea was to expose the kids to
certain hands-on technical.
Yes, technical. And I had to tour the world to see what the countries who were implementing, what they were doing. Denmark, they have a room in the school, huge room. All sorts of toys will be there.
Yes,
toys. And the children are trained. No formal, they go in there. And the teachers will be monitoring them from afar. You see a child going to a particular
toy, or if it is a building structure, you know, a car, it means that.
And then when they start the formal, they concentrate more on the craft section, electricals, masonry, mechanical, blah blah blah, so that those who can do the academic can go up to the university. Those with this manual thing will be trained in such a way that they will form the workforce.
Exactly.
And as I said, it was going to take us 15 years. First, to train the instructors, and then second, find the implements, sewing machines, carpentry tools, fitting tools, and built in the school. Unfortunately, after 2 years, we were kicked off from the yes. And then Rollins and Co, within 1 year, they implemented without this. Yes, that's why it's now.
I mean, the educational system.
Yes, it's gone.
I think not this particular interview. Subsequently, in our interview, we will just look at the educational system.
Okay.
There are look at the educational system, then we look at the legal system, then we look at, if time permits, the security system. And as to your philosophy and certain ideas that you love to share on how to make, these systems, better. But in there was a palace school,
Yes.
that overthrew the champion.
Yes.
It was within your own government.
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
Yes.
So there was SMC 1, which returned this, and SMC 2. So when SMC 2 came, which was led by General Akufo.
Yes.
Can you please narrate to us that story, when the coup happened and how you exited from the government there?
Yes. Because of my training, security training, I had an occasion to warn a champion when I was commissioner for education that there was danger ahead. And the danger was very simple. He had instituted a system where once a while all heads of the Ghana Armed Forces will meet in Accra. Navy, Air Force, Army, and then the commanders of the various units will meet in Accra and deliberate. And then we'll tell the government, a champion, what's happening in their locality and under their jurisdiction. So one evening, I went to him and I said, Papa, this situation can be abused.
Can be abused, yes.
Because you're giving them the opportunity for all of them to meet legitimately under one roof. And it can be dangerous.
Yes.
But he didn't do anything about it. He continued. Then there was that meeting taking place in Accra, but that day happened to be a holiday. So a champion was in the house. But all these officers had come to Accra. So he was convinced to come and address and dismiss them. And when he came to the office, General Wellington, went to the office. Because they were in office, the bodyguards couldn't help. So they were all arrested and taken out.
And then that was the
palace school. Yeah, that was the palace school. General Akufo called us to Burma camp and gave an explanation why that took place. Late Kenneth was the first to talk. After him, I talked, and then they dismissed us. As soon as I got to the office, I wrote to them. I took it myself.
That you have resigned?
That I have resigned my commission.
Your commission, because you were commissioned to be a minister of education. Yes.
So I've resigned my commission. I'm going back
to the service.
My parents.
Yes. What did you say?
He agreed.
What did you say
at that meeting? You see, what I said was that I used to be a footballer, and I use football as an example in situations. If my team is defeated by 2 goals, I'm not going to blame the goalkeeper. I'm not going to blame anybody. We should accept it. If the strikers had given the opponents 4 goals, we would have been successful. So there should be no blame game when my team loses.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that has happened. I'm sorry, sir, that we should not blame anybody.
Anybody shouldn't blame a champion.
Now the Catholics do something, mea culpa, mea culpa.
That's a Latin phrase.
That's the Latin phrase.
Which means
it's my fault. It's my fault. We should all accept. If you think we failed, we should. So after that, they said we should. And then I took my resignation to him. I remember very well what he said. Ellis, we will miss your boys, your contributions. Yeah. So I saluted. Then I was appointed director of special knowledge,
which is now
BNI.
Yes. So serving in that capacity, I mean, what were some remarkable changes that you instituted? So ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to the end of I think the first session of our interview, and the next time we get opportunity to speak to Daddy, we'll continue
from the special branch up to today.
Yes.
Thanks.
So thank you so much. Lawyer Owusu-Fordwouh. Thank you for your time. God bless you. We are done. Hope, please let's take some pictures and then we leave the old man to rest.